ongoing investigation into Albert Ochieng's death. And we have also here a text from Maina Kageni, and he's saying, he's asking probing questions too that I should ask our panelists. He's asking the missing 26 hours, right? Where was Alfred for the missing 26 hours? Because he was booked in at Central at 9:30 the night he was pronounced dead. Also, since the IG was clearly misled by his juniors and made to look like a liar, what action is he likely to take against them? Right? Please ask our panelists these questions.
Yes.
Let's begin with you, Dr. Wirunga.
I still want to go back to what I was saying. I think my colleagues might not have understood my context. What I was saying, we want the truth. What we are being told, what we are hearing, is a circus. Most of us have some inside information and stories. So if we want to get the truth out of this, I think it's important that we hit one step at a time. Those questions Maina is asking is what I'm talking about. Mm-hmm. We are being told this guy was picked from Homa Bay. There are several hours. Initially, we were told it was 32 hours. We are now told it's 13 hours. We are told when he came in, he was in bad health. That is why the OCS refused to book him in. Now we are being told when he was being booked in, he was in good health. Nobody is telling us who booked the late in the police cells. They are not telling us these officers that came with the late up to Nairobi. What was their first call of duty station? It was not Central, because Central, he was booked at night. So there are so many things that if I was to do my analysis,
I'll be asking, adding up.
I'll be asking so many questions so that I don't even go to the DIG. DIG to me is the entail of what we are doing. We want the truth to be told. And if it is true, like Owino was saying, because I've read thoroughly the service standing orders. I've actually mastered. I'm not a lawyer now, but I've mastered. I think it is it chapter 96 or something? It speaks completely of what takes place at the police station. Who is the commander? What the OCS is supposed to do? What is supposed to be done when somebody is brought in? What are the powers of the OCS? How does he appoint people to be in charge? And these are the things we need to get. Let's not rush, because the person unfortunately died. But if we want to hold people to account, let's not listen to what these senior officers are telling us. We want to be told what some of us think we are already hearing. Because don't forget, some of us are friends in the police service, but we don't want to make noise around. So what needs to be done is step by step if Kenyans want to be told the truth about the late Ojwang. And that's why I said we need the truth. Let us be told, yes, we know he was eating lunch. First, we are told, Daktari, that he was with his parents. Secondly, we are being told he was with his wife, a 30-year-old son, and a 1 year or 3 months child. So even from there alone, we are starting contradictions. He was with the parents under a tree. Next time we are told he's with a wife, a child, and another child. Okay? We are being told he was taken to that police station. Initially, we are told there were no bookings. Now we are being told there are bookings. Those are the things, if this country needs to hear that. And let me tell you this, we've been talking about these extrajudicial killings. People have been taken to court. A few of them have been jailed. Unfortunately, I think Ojwang could be the thing, could be just the thing to change everything in this country. So let's not rush and start judging what we are being told. We want step by step, so that by the time we hold 15 or 20 police officers, DCI, general duty, this country will have known exactly what took place, how people are. You see, like Joshua is saying. You see, I said we are now being shuffled, being shuffled by information. So today we are doing a waltz, tomorrow we are doing a salsa. We don't want to go through that process. We want to be told this is bullet by bullet. Let me tell you, Diban, if we don't go that way, we shall start discussing what our colleagues are discussing here about this person, about what Amin is saying, what DIG is doing, you know. But at the end of the day, I'm telling you, my instincts tell me Ojwang could be the thing. If we get it right, if we get Ojwang's case right,
it could be the inflection point for this country. Let me come to you.
I'm helping my friend here to get that we actually know what is happening.
Yes.
For the director of criminal investigation to have told us that the prime suspect is the OCS, we have the answer.
Yeah.
He is now pushing this case to the station. What he is saying is, how has the DCI accounted for the so many hours that they were holding this suspect?
Yes.
And I was going to say this because at some point Mr. Wino was saying that the crimes and offenses have been committed. On this table, and for all we have heard, we don't know whether a crime was committed. There are suspicions, there are complaints, there is some tweets done, but all those are subject to investigation. And until you have put all the evidence together, no one can say on this table, or even with the DCI or anybody else, that Ojwang had committed an offense. Yeah. He was a suspect, subject to investigation. If there's anybody that I'm ready to give free legal service, is Talam, the OCS. Because in that, we will get quite a bit of truth come out.
Yes.
If they charge Talam today, I would love to offer him free legal services. Because we will get to know how long DCI took with the suspect before they brought him. We will get to know in what state this person was in when he came to the station. We will also get to know why the CCTV footage was interfered with. And then we will get to know the real culprits and suspects. So for me, we are on the truth. And that's why I keep saying that it's not so far from where we are sitting.
Yes.
We have somebody arrested, nobody's denying it, arrested by DCI. Officers who arrested are named. There are 3. They are named who came from Nairobi. They went to a local station. They were joined by others. They were shot. So we know that the suspect was apprehended and was in the hands and the custody of the DCI. At what point did it become necessary that he be booked into a police station? And as once a spokesman always, as a spokesman of the police is saying, the DCI has the latitude. In fact, where we are sitting on Kiambu Road, there are so many other police stations. Why didn't they go to Muthaiga police station here? There are so many other police stations. Why did they go to Central? Kiambu Road is so far from Central Police Station. In fact, it's out of jurisdiction of Central Police Station. So if they brought that person, there was every other room that they could have booked them in. So in what state was Ojwang by the time he was being booked? That is material. The injuries that are on that body, where were they
inflicted?
So do you consider also this pronouncement by the Directorate of Criminal Investigation premature?
No. It's actually very mature.
It's very mature.
He has decided
Shed
that
light.
my officers are innocent. Yes. Let me pass this skunk.
Are you saying this with your tongue family in cheek?
No.
Actually,
clear statements that are
actually,
made around.
Dibal,
Yes.
as the two have said, the Ojwang's case or the precedent is flanking open the doors for us to have a reform.
Yeah.
For the first time, you find accountability being prosecuted live before us. And it was very rare. Previously, within the police service, you would never get a case of contradictory statements, even when Owino was there. Actually, I remember I used to only see Owino speaking alone. Rarely would you hear anyone speaking. They were always very disciplined and coordinated. But this is the first time where we are getting a chance, as my senior and my teacher says here, now you need OCS Talam on that dog to just speak up. then the rest will open. Because DCI has just done one good favor to this process. Flank opened the door. By virtue, he said and pronounced, because who is the investigative agency? DCI. It's only that IPOA is taking the lead, but investigation is always domiciled with the DCI. So he's already pronounced. He's already flanked the door open and said, according to us, preliminary finding is that the person of interest, and he was addressing the country and Senate, saying the person of interest and the main suspect should be Talam. Now, what do you expect from Moses Talam? He'll fight back. He'll say, then let me record statement as is. Even the people who are interdicted, by all means, that is unprocedural, because interdiction is the final process. You cannot interdict a person summarily. Rather, I would have...
What is the case?
Like, I would have said maybe suspend, but summary interdiction, that is final. So, in fact, that one can be challenged within a 30 minutes. Yes. A magistrate will give you orders against that, because that one... But the beauty about this one is giving us a chance to be able to have accountability within the police service. More importantly, now, let me come to the political side. I really empathize with the police service. The president issued a statement, and 100% throw it on the police service. And if you read the president's statement, he emphasized what he emphasized since last year, where he keeps mentioning independence and autonomy. And he says him, as his regime, the first task was to ensure the police service, as per the constitution, are given financial and operational independence. So what ideally the political class has done, they have literally tied the police service with one rope, thrown them. If you saw Senate today, did you see the pronouncement of the majority leader? He was the first one asking that the best case scenario, they are not saying Eliud Lagat is a bad person, but in his assessment and wisdom, for the sake of perception and to get things going for matters investigation, especially IPOA, Eliud Lagat is no longer tenable to continue sitting in office. That was very telling. And I also saw my good friend PS, Foreign Affairs Singwe, endorsing the same on Twitter. So the political class has wholesomely said police service is a standalone institution. They have, and that's why you'd see now DCI coming out and said, on our part, we are good.
So everyone is unequivocally saying, you should resign. Let's come to Dr. No. He's been a bit mealy-mouthed. So I wanted just to ask, in regarding to communication, because we had also a statement from the Kenya National Commission of Human Rights, where they were stating that they are seriously concerned with the manner in which police are conducting investigations into the death of Albert Omondi Ojwang, who died while in custody at Central Police Station in an unclear circumstance. The Commission strongly condemns the premature police narrative that Omondi died from self-inflicted injuries. And of course, we've heard from the Inspector General of Police now correcting that and apologizing to the public. But from your honest estimation, and of course you've actually been on that particular seat as a spokesperson and now the DG of the National Communication Center, why do we have such a disjointed communication? Even to the point of a high office like the IG getting a miscommunication, misrepresentation of facts at the end of the day. He has now, egg all over his face to, wipe with this shame that is now in the public glare.
Ordinarily, when an incident of this magnitude happens, I'll give you an example. There was even another serious issue when we lost lawyer Kimani in Mlolongo.
Serious?
Who had gone to court and...
Oscar.
Yes. Was he called Oscar? No.
Oh. Willie Kimani. And the taxi driver.
Yes.
And then he was picked.
Abducted.
Yes.
Taken to a container. He was not booked. He was killed.
Thrown to Oldonyo Sabuka.
And when he was in the container, something very interesting happened. As he was making noise, I think he gave a note and somebody picked it. And it is that note that helped to trace him, that he was in the container. And we have attained conviction. That is the time you saw there were demonstrators and they had poured like blood on me because I took responsibility as the spokesperson to communicate. So usually, what should happen in such controversial issues is that they need to sit as a team and with a clear narrative after confirmation of the incidences. But apparently it seems Nikurukana, people are not interested in, in sitting together and maybe working as a team, maybe Nikurukana, but I don't want to say that because I still have a lot of interest there. What I can say is there are a number of controversies. The OCS Talam only becomes a person of interest because the person allegedly died in his custody. If there are two things police officers fear, is escape from custody, that a prisoner has escaped from your custody. Because the first thing people will think, he gave you money.
And you let
And many a times, what happens is they open an inquiry file and straight away you are interdicted. By the way, in the laws, in our standing orders, interdiction can be carried out immediately. Yeah. It is suspension that comes last when a decision has been made, awaiting to sack you. So, that escape from custody escape from custody and death in police custody are very serious offenses that no policeman wants to associate with.
But I don't follow.
Just a minute.
I don't follow because you say he died in custody.
Just listen to me.
That he refused custodial handling of his suspect.
Just listen to my statement. I cannot confirm, because I'm not the investigator, I cannot say he died in custody, because he could have died in hospital. But the question is, it was said, even the police said that he hanged himself. I think that is what was said, that he committed suicide, not hanging himself. He committed suicide by hitting his head
on the wall.
Yes. But what I'm saying is, despite all this, the next question would be, who drafted the signal, the situation report? Who drafted it? Because if you are brought to my custody as an OCS and the person was not well, and then I come to find the person has died, I will not draft a SITREP and say he has, because I will be implicating myself. Are you getting me? Yeah. I know very well this person came injured. And then now I'm writing a SITREP saying that he committed suicide. Then I would be implicating myself. Ordinarily, this puts a question. This is one reason why maybe the DCI said the OCS is a person of interest if it is confirmed that he's the drafter of the situation report. Because if he's the drafter and he had earlier found out that the person was injured and he refused, then definitely he could not have drafted this. So the best thing that I can say is what the president said. Let's give it time, short time, and let's give investigators opportunity. IPOA is a civilian oversight over police, not only for mistakes that the police have made, but also for their welfare. You remember when we had the first chairman of IPOA, Machari Anjeru. He worked on issues of police welfare and made recommendations on how policemen were living, the bad conditions under which the police were living, the police houses, and made proposals that policemen in certain areas be allowed even to hire houses from outside. So IPOA is not only for investigating police officers who have made mistakes, but it is an oversight authority. And I can tell you, I've always told people this and they don't want to believe it, that in 2004, when we had Nyaseda and Kagunda, we came up with what we call, we had, how do you call it? We had...
internal?
No. We had done a projection for about 4 years on what we wanted done between 2004 and 2008. And some of our recommendations was to have a civilian oversight, because we realized that sometimes we investigate ourselves. And even when it is factual that we have to exonerate, people say, how are you investigating yourselves? So what I can say is that IPOA is an important institution, and this is a challenge to them, that this is a very easy case, if you ask me. Within 2 days, 3 days, they should be able to tell Kenyans, this is how it happened, this is the person who, because if those officers are being implicated for nothing, if it is true, the OCS is being implicated for nothing, or it is true the officers were in report office, they should talk and tell us this is what happened. But you cannot say they are not guilty or they were not involved, at the same time they are not talking.
Thank you.
So it is just important that IPOA does their work. It is important that Kenyans have their cool. Why are we saying so? Because sometimes when you have so many theories on an issue, you divert investigations, because investigations start from a particular point. It is a systematic examination on matters which are accurate, a chronology of events. He was arrested at this time, he was moved for these hours, he reached Nairobi at this time. And you know now technology is very good. If somebody moved to that cell at night and thought he would not be found because the CCTVs are not there, there are other technologies that should be able to tell us who was there, what was he doing. So I have the confidence, because you know IPOA also cannot work alone, my brother. Most of the facilities for investigations, especially on forensic, are with DCI. And even when IPOA makes recommendations and DPP authorizes, the person who will arrest these officers, charge them and take them to court is still police. So what I always tell people, my brother, is that we don't have 2 policemen in Kenya. We only have 2 police services in Kenya. We only have 1 national police service. And the best thing is to come up with moral standards. Many times, people start talking about police when things have happened. Very few Kenyans want to know how much do they earn, how are they trained, do they have enough money to train? Are you getting me?
Yes, thank you.
So
Thank you.
me, I would say we only have 1 police service. We have to work with them. But when such a thing happens, let us get to know the truth, so that the majority of the policemen, because now all policemen are traumatized, because it is not just the few who could have committed the offense, but all of them, because people are saying, nyinyi polisi. Hata mimi kwangu naambiwa wewe polisi.
But you see,
Right.
Dibal, I am very opposed to saying that we need time.
We need.
I've said 2-3 days.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Even 2-3 days, we don't need. I mean, this is the only country.
But it has already taken 3 days.
That's what I'm saying. This is the only place where a crime is committed, and we know how it has been committed, and we think we need time to investigate. If already
we leave no,
eventually,
no stone unturned.
Yes.
Yes.
So for me, there are issues here, and I would really love to see the criminal issues that will emerge from here. For example, what is going to be the electronic certificate that is going to be produced from CAK? With all these stories that we've been told, when was CAK asked, what form in which it was requested? And so all we are being treated with choreographed, some dramatic.
But CAK has totally denied that it was.
That's what I'm saying.
It was
But you see, already
done
that's
by
in public
IG.
domain. If I was
By
cross-examining,
DCI,
I will
got
bring that
information
up
of
so that
person
CAK can actually come and
through
deny
CAK.
on record
They
in
say
the
then
court
CAK
of
has
law.
denounced
Because you see,
that they
they are
divulged
using
any
this,
information.
and perhaps as my brother
But what was
Simi Orunga
CAK
said,
supposed
Right. Could you just have one
minute,
conversation,
just a
please?
minute.
Yes.
As my brother Simi Orunga said, this might just be the Floyd moment for us. Albert Ojwang may be the George Floyd for us.
We can't breathe. All right.
You remember the Westgate?
Yes.
It changed the leadership, management of disasters in this country. It brought in issues of leadership control structure. What's happening in this case? And I wanted to speak to
Charles.
Charles. By the way, he's been my friend for many years. What is it that has to be said by the IG, and yet we have a regional commander in Nairobi? We have an officer in charge of CID and DCI for Nairobi. We have all these officers who are in charge of this province. Let me use the word province. Why is it that the IG wants to speak? We know it's a national issue, but there are reasons why we have structures in the police service.
Or the spokesperson.
Excuse me.
Let
me just answer you.
Yeah.
The reason why the IG came in is because a senior officer of the level of DIG
Complaint.
was the complainant in this matter that led to the arrest and eventual death. And therefore, in protocol, and you are from military, you know it would have been very difficult
For a junior to-
for a junior officer under the DIG to comment and even mention his name.
I hear you.
Yes.
But that's not where I was heading. I was not heading that direction. I'm just saying.
So the ranks will actually play out.
No, it's because a person of a very high level has been mentioned in this matter. Therefore, it would have just been prudent that his boss, the boss of the highest officer, comments on the matter. In fact,
let me say what I was
even the DCI, to a very large extent, ordinarily in law, is not senior to DIG police. Yeah. Because the Constitution only provides for 1 IG and 2
deputies.
DIGs.
It's
only that quietly. Yeah. Quietly he has been given a status of a DIG, but practically in law he's not.
All right.
Let me finish my thought process. So this is where we are heading to. So we find an IG, good man. We know him. So he makes mistakes, and there's no fallback position. There's a reason why we have structures in this kind of systems. The IG is supposed to be the backstop, so that you don't get our IG apologizing on things because he was given wrong information, he was given wrong data, he was given narrative, and that's why I'm relating it to Westgate. You see, we used to see Kimayo speaking, we will see Karange speaking. Then at some point we told them, give us the people who are in charge of these processes, so that when Kenyans are making noise, you are the last person to speak. What does that give to the police service? When the IG speaks as the last resort, it builds some confidence in the Kenyan people, because the IG, by the time he speaks, he has now gotten all this data and information, so he's speaking from a factual position. What you've seen, the IG actually has been reduced to an apologetic human being. He's speaking this now, tomorrow he's saying this. To me, it speaks very badly on the standings of the police service. And yet we are dealing with a very crucial case, notwithstanding that the DIG is senior. I'm not saying the regional commander should be speaking up the DIG. No, the regional commander is supposed to have been in charge of this case because it happened in Nairobi. And then the IG, the only person the IG should be speaking to, Dibal, should be now the regional commander. So that if the IG speaks something wrong, it is not even the government spokesperson, the police spokesperson. Because that DIG is what rank? Senior?
Is a DIG that is rank?
Yes.
Deputy Inspector General.
No, I'm talking of the regional commander.
Is an AIG.
AIG. That is the person now the IG should be holding to account, because by structure, that is the person who should be reporting to the IG. All these things should have gone through him. Amin should have been talking to his person who is in charge of the Nairobi county. And that's why you see, I look at Kanja and I pity him, because at that level, for you to be standing there and apologizing to Kenyans, I know he's doing it from his heart, probably. But I think it's also important that as we speak and say so many things here, there's so many gray areas that the IG should not have gotten involved at this stage, apart from issuing 1 or 2 statements from that strategic level. Then the rest he should have given instructions for his senior officers to do.
I hear what he's saying.
Yeah.
The only thing that I want to say, and I think that's where Charles was coming from.
Yeah.
This thing we are hearing that the DIG complained, perhaps that is the lie that we are getting. The truth might have been that he asked for investigation, which is equivalent to ordering. That is also a possibility. And for that reason, this play must be high up here. Because if there is anything that you're going to discuss about the DIG, really it's up there.
Which orients me also to ask this question, yes, regarding the weight and the gravitas of this offense.
Yes.
Do you, in your considered view, think that false publication is considered a criminal offense?
You see, Dibal, there is what you can complain. You can say there's criminal defamation, that I have defamed you in a manner that
it's criminal in nature.
Is criminal in nature. That is a possibility. But I am saying that to arrive at that conclusion, there is a process. Earlier on, he was talking about what the various agencies' roles are. when you talk about separation of powers, and again, this is where now I want to bring him in. The reason why investigation is separated from police service is to create checks and balances.
DPP.
The reason why the police were, the power to even charge was taken away from them, taken to ODPP, was to create checks and balances, to assure that there is reason or there is this investigation done in a logical and appropriate way, and there is distance as to avoid conflict of interest, to ensure that when the decision finally is made, it is, the probability value is high. Yes. That is what we have given ourselves in our constitution and in our dispensation. Even before, in the old constitution, the DCI would investigate, but the decision to charge was made by the OCS. Now, in this discussion, even the OCPD and all these other ranks don't have the force of law the way the OCS has the force of law. The officer commanding a police station actually has quite a lot of responsibilities placed on them by law. And that is in the older dispensation and even the current dispensation. Having said that, what we are dealing with here is suspicion. Today we are sitting here in this studio, we will say something and somebody will say, we are offended. It cannot be his complaint leading to my arrest. It should be an investigation that on that complaint that should then bring out probable evidence that somebody else should make a decision on whether I should be charged or not. Those are the issues we are discussing here. So this case has given us a very good test of what rule of law should be, of what separation of powers should be. But more importantly, even as we talk about IPOA, because IPOA has a responsibility, two things have happened. A death of a Kenyan has happened. Homicide, that is still in the hands of DCI to investigate. To even throw your hands and say, our first suspect is so-and-so, is reckless. Because the responsibility to investigate a crime is in the hands of the Directorate of Criminal Investigations. So, when somebody dies, we must establish. Indeed, from where I come, nobody dies. People are killed. So if somebody has killed the person,
who is it?
Who is it?
And why?
And why? That has to be investigated. And on the other hand, we have a suspicion that the police could have been involved, and the suspicion could have been involved in the death of this person. IPOA comes in to investigate that particular issue.
Thank you. Thank you.
So I think...
Let's come to the rule of law, because also you talked about the rule of law. And we have been talking a good game about prevention of torture acts. I think for the longest time we have had debate for almost 10 good years. Still rolling this particular bill, now it is an act. And I think this will be a good providential time to effect this particular act into action, right? 25 years will be slapped to anyone who is compliant or in this particular case of the death of Albert Ojwang. And this is why everyone is calling for the resignation of the DIG. Do you think, in your own assessment, and we're not of course trying to play jury and hangman here, but do you think, excuse me, in your own assessment, this will be a providential time to actually effect this, and it will see the light of day for the first time for Kenyans to learn that this torture act, which has been going on for almost since independence, right? We had Koigi Omwere, so many people who are still seeking compensation and they've never been compensated. How will this really play out? You can talk about that particular act and the criminal procedural act that was hugely violated in this particular case as well.
Thank you very much, Dibal. I think my seniors can confirm that we've not had a problem of legislation and policy. That has never been in doubt. That's and I can confirm, for example, as soon as we did our constitution, we even set up the Constitution Implementation Commission that did a very fine job in ensuring compliance of the constitution by enactment of all the laws that were needed. And by the time Nyachai was leaving, most of the laws were done there. Kenya has always been on the front line in coming up with legislation. The only difference has been action. The issue here is a question of, are we a country that really believes in the rule of law? Are we a country that has internalized and actually breathed life to these policies and the legislations you refer to? Martin Olo has just clearly elaborated how responsibilities are clearly shared, clearly demarcated, operational manual available, nothing new. So that in this case, look at the case that we are talking about for Ojwang, and that's why we are calling it, it may be that moment for us. There is no question as to who is supposed to do what. If you look at statements that have been issued so far so good, everyone has mentioned who does what. For example, IPOA to take charge by being the entity in charge of oversighting the conduct of the police officers. That is given. Investigation, it is known as a matter of fact, it is the role of DCI. So the issue is not about the legislation. The issue is, have we had the consistency? Have we had the commitment? Have we had the reason and the basis to follow through? And most of the time, as rightfully says, how many convictions have we got in such cases? Very rare. And the one for Willie Kimani stood out simply because a member of Law Society of Kenya, and in this case, the lawyers and the LSK took it upon themselves to personally follow through its prosecution to the end, and it took quite some time. Look at the cases, if you were to refer to cases before, remember Baby Pendo, still back and forth in court. How many years since 2017? That is almost 8 years. So at the end of the day, the legislations are there, the policies are there, but effecting now calls for a political will. When I saw the president's statement, I almost felt that it is a time then the police service should just pick up on that and then say, going forward, when it comes to our operations, when it comes to actions, the idea of call from the above has to come to an end. How we are going to prosecute this case of Ojwang then will bring a bit of caution and awareness even to the level, as they say, even to the level of OCS. They know that at the end of the day, the buck stops with the person. So that when you talk about these abductions, when you talk about the arrests, do we really follow through? Are we keen? Because I may even throw in my wild opinion that this is a senior officer. The complainant is a senior officer, is a DIG. And in this case, junior officers are called by Mkubwa. They'll be very excited. Who wouldn't want promotion, for example? Who wouldn't want to prove that they have done their work? Fact. So based on that, they would quickly act, and then things go haywire. What happens in this case? The buck stops with whoever acted. So at this case, what I think, this offers an opportunity. And that's why for me, my main body that can benefit from this is IPOA. IPOA has been crying out for support. And I'm happy Owino has detailed. At the end of the day, if you look at the work of IPOA, it is still pegged by the efficiency of the police service. If it is investigation, they will rely on DCI. For me, Isaac Hassan has been given more or less like something on a silver platter. It is their best chance to be able to break out and be able to effectively. How they handle this will firmly set them on a path of having the respect and ability to act. Number two,
be the make or break
DPP.
Of IPOA.
Yes. DPP also is coming into question. No one has spoken about them. But as soon as the investigations are there and the recommendations are there for charges, the person who approved the charges must and will always be the DPP. Now, they will be in question here. How do they act? How swiftly? As my teacher has said, we don't need time. Every facts and happenings are being spread out, are already on the table. It's a question of action. So for the legislations you are referring to as to how to action them, my prayer, this particular matter, be that eureka moment where we can start from start to finish. And we need to credit the fact that at the moment, what is making the difference is the level of awareness. In fact, if you read the story, what happened, the first protesters who went to Central Police Station, the officers there were telling them, nini munaeka kwa social media. That was their first concern. What is this you're putting on social media? And the moment the thing went wild, I'm sure for them, how many of such cases have happened without being reported? So the awareness and the social media space that exists at the moment is creating an avenue whereby it is a natural check and balance and a pressure system that makes it then possible for the institutions to work. So I really feel this is our moment that we can be able to execute fully.
Allow me just to take a short break, then we'll come back. And I want us just to dwell on one question right? Why are you nodding your head?
Time.
We're about to finish.
Yeah.
Critical. I wanted just to ask, maybe just to hang it as a question that we can consider. The issue of the irregulars within the police force or the security sector. I know what we're talking about, because when we're talking about abductions, there has been a way to really game the system that we cannot really track what is happening even within the police sector themselves on who is abducting who with the people who are wearing the hoodies. We have also the Inspector General of Police was in the courts. He could not really account for which police officers are the ones who are involved in the abductions. So I would like to know what is really happening with the regulars, the irregulars within the police force. That, you know, we have a smudge of police officers coming from different sectors and different, of course, sector of the police, from Kenya Forest Service, Kenya Wildlife Service as well, and they're collected to actually carry out this particular abductions that are ongoing. Can you make it limpid for us? We take a short break. We can come back with more.